You're listening to Life, the Universe, and Everything Else. Today on the show, Revenge of the Quiz Show!
Life, the Universe, and Everything Else explores the intersection of science and society. Original music is produced by Ian James, and this episode was edited by Marissa McCool. Find her on Patreon at patreon.com/QAF.
My name is Jem Newman, and with me today I have Lauren Bailey.
Hi.
Ashlyn Noble.
Hello.
Laura Creek-Newman.
Hi there.
And special guest, our editor, Marissa McCool.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. I was going to say we get the Marissa bump.
Yes.
So today, we decided to all be lazy. And by lazy, I mean have a good time. And we all threw together a little quiz, and we're going to test each other's knowledge on a wide variety of subjects. What subjects, you may ask? Listen and find out. And I say that because I don't know the answer.
The people are starting to wander back in there full of scotch and ready to fight. They've been out drinking and now they're thinking how angry they are because it's cold.
We're going to start off with Lauren. Lauren, take it away.
I hope you know some of the answers because we are grading this quiz. I know we've looked at creation myths in some previous shows, but I love them and I could probably mine several more quizzes from them, so that's what we're doing to start off. 5 questions about creation myths.
Sounds great.
All right, we ready?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question 1. While nearly every civilization on Earth has its own creation myth, and sometimes several, they generally fit into one of 6 basic types. Which of these 4 choices is not a standard creation myth archetype?
Oof.
A. This is the hardest question, by the way. A. Earth diver. So somebody diving into the earth. B. Ex nihilo, or out of nothing. C. Cosmic trees. And D. World apparent. Jem, since it's your show, you can start first. What's your answer? A, B, C, or D?
So I know ex nihilo is sometimes a creation. I don't know how common it is. Sometimes people will argue that the Judeo-Christian creation story is ex nihilo, although I would dispute that if you read Genesis. I mean, John is kind of more ex nihilo than Genesis is. Anyway.
John of Patmos or John the disciple?
John the...
Revelationist was Patmos.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
There's also the Book of John, right?
Yes.
But not the Gospel according to John was the disciple. Allegedly, it's not actually written by him because it was written about 100 years after Jesus. But we've gone into this in the past. So yeah, I'm talking about Gospel according to John. Anyway, so definitely Earth Diver is one. I'd say ex nihilo probably is one. It certainly has been proposed.
We have 50 questions to go through here, Jem.
Oh my god. No, we
I only
don't.
have
Not
5
everybody's-
questions.
Yeah,
I'm
not
just
everybody's
saying,
doing
let's
10.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trees. I'm going to say trees is not one of the standard ones because I know Earth Mother happens. Yeah, okay, let's go with trees. I mean, I could name some trees, but...
Okay. So can I.
Tree? I am no tree.
Ashlyn.
I'm going with trees because I'm pretty sure Jem asked this question before, and I'm going to trust Jem's expertise.
Laura?
I don't think that I did.
Oh, I was going to go with the Earth Mother one. That's the last one, right?
World parent is D.
World Parent. Yeah. But so you said the most common, right?
There are 6 basic archetypes.
Okay. So one of
Which
these is
not.
not a basic archetype. So does that mean that it doesn't happen at all, or it's just not characterized as an archetype?
Yeah, it's not one that's very common.
Okay. I'm going to go with ex nihilo.
Okay. And Marissa.
Well, I know a lot of creation myths, and I know one of them is about being on the back of a giant turtle. And I know one of them is that someone sang everything into existence. So I feel like cosmic trees could be a creation myth because nothing is too far out there for the imagination. But I feel like out of nothing is more scientific than myth and creation myth. So it might be a myth somewhere, but I feel like that might be the one that's not myth, but rather fact.
It could be both.
True.
So, are you going with Earth Diver, Out of Nothing, Cosmic Trees, or World Parent?
Out of nothing.
Out of Nothing. Okay. The answer was C, Cosmic Trees.
Ah.
Who got a point?
I did.
All
I
right.
piggybacked off Jem though. Yay!
Yay!
Half a point for me.
The 6 general archetypes are, and it's not to say that there aren't other creation myths, but these are the ones that get lumped together, and then there's the et ceteras. So there's creation from chaos, creation with an earth diver, creation by emergence, creation out of nothing, the ex nihilo, and creation from a world parent, and creation with divine twins are the 6 basic archetypes.
Yeah, from
Lots of
chaos
twin
is really more
stories.
of the Genesis story.
Cool.
All right. Question 2. The Enuma Elish is the oldest surviving creation myth we have that depicts a battle between 2 deities and results in creation of the earth and humans. These deities were A. Tiamat and Marduk, B. Nyx and Erebus, C. Bima and Hidimbi, or D. Glooskap and Mulsumis. You don't have to, you can just say A, B, C, and D, don't worry. We'll start with Laura this time.
I will go with C, and I do not remember how to say those names, but they
That's fine.
seemed right.
Okay. Ashlyn.
I also would like to go with C. Pretty sure I know one is not the right one. That's all I've got.
Okay. Marissa.
I'm going to guess A simply because I recognize those names and that's the only one. And I feel like the Necronomicon has to have something right somewhere.
It was never meant for the world of the living.
And Jim.
I don't remember the exact timeline, but yeah, I'm also going to join with Marissa and go with Tiamat and Marduk.
Okay. And Marissa and Jem have it right.
Yay!
Tiamat and Marduk. They are the creator gods.
Wait, Tiamat's not a thing.
Tiamat's a thing. They're the creator gods in the Babylonian creation epic, which is the Enuma Elish. It was written in cuneiform, and it's on 7 stone tablets and over 50,000 lines. No, that's not right. I must have written that down wrong, but that's because that's a lot of lines, and depending on how big these tablets are.
On tablets. Also, how big are these tablets?
I don't know. I've never seen them. The other pairs are from different mythologies around the world. Like Nyx and Erebus are Greek, and Bima and Hidimbi are, I believe, Hindu, and Glooskap and Mulsumis are, I believe, they might be Huron.
Huh.
It's a Turtle Island myth anyway.
I always thought that Nixon was American, so he wasn't a legitimate president, is what you're saying.
Oh my God, Jem.
We're going to nix the Nixon question. Yeah. No Millhouse here.
This is what it feels like when doves cry.
All right, question 3. In the Abrahamic religions that follow the 7-day creation myth, what was created on the 4th day? A. The sky. B. Light. C. Creatures that live in the sea and creatures that fly. Or D. The sun, the moon, and the stars.
This is in which creation myth?
This is the Abrahamic... This is the Bible. The Bible. The Bible.
Oh. The Holy Bible.
The Bible. Next on my list, we'll start with Ashlyn.
Okay, light was first.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Maybe. Whoops. There's a gimme.
The firmament, etc., which is pretty sure means sky, is after that. It's gotta be creatures.
So you're saying sea creatures?
Yeah.
Not sea well, it is sea creatures, but I swear.
Creatures that fly.
Yeah. All right, Marissa?
I would like to answer as Eli Bosnick as Donald Trump.
Oh, God. Okay.
Gonna create these fantastic orbs. You're gonna put them in the sky. One's gonna be bigger than the other, but everybody's gonna think we're the biggest one. It's tremendous. I'm going with D.
All right. That was scary good.
I have many talents.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Jem?
I'm also going with the lights in the sky. I thought that was day 3, not day 4, but I'm not sure. I'm going to go with the lights in the sky. I don't remember when the creatures.
So D?
Yeah, D.
Okay. And Laura, bring us home.
I'm also going with lights in the sky.
All right.
It seems so late to have lights in the sky.
Yeah. It does,
Yeah.
but
was
he
way
spent
after
a
there was light.
long time making the sky, and then he's just like, oh yeah, and let's put some stuff on this rock.
Then he
Yeah,
rested.
fair.
And then he rested, exactly. So it's not full 7 days of creation, right? The last day was a day of rest.
Hey, everybody, come on. She rested? Am I the only feminist here? The one true feminist?
She's not really a woman. She's not really anything.
Yeah, Jen. Someone's going to cut that out and use it against you in the future, and I look forward to that day.
Yep. The answer is D, the sun, the moon, and stars.
Sweet.
They were created on the 4th day. The sky was on day 2. Light was on day 1. And creatures of the sea and fly and creatures of the air were on day 5.
Yep. They were last before humans. Plants were before that, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. There were plants before the sun?
I didn't write the rest of them down, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm trying to remember. I remember the order was extremely weird. And
I could probably put them in the right order if I saw them all, but no, not like this.
So far, I am enjoying riding Marissa's coattails on because she's given me all the answers.
She gets to go first on the next question, so.
Ooh.
I'm just starting with the next person down on my list, and I put everybody in the same list, in the same order, so. Question 4. The Voluspa in the Poetic Edda tells the story of the creation of the world and its eventual end and rebirth. The vulva, or seerist, tells the prophecy to which of these famous Nordic gods? A. Odin, B. Thor, C. Helgi, or D. Loki? Marissa?
Oh, shit. I should pay attention to the Minnesota people more.
The Voluspa is the part of the Poetic Edda that I study the most.
I am completely in the dark about this one because I don't even watch Marvel movies, so I'll go with Odin because he's older, I think. I don't know.
Okay. Jem?
It's either C or D. I feel like it was actually Loki. Loki. The other one is tempting because I don't remember a lot about that god, but I'm going to go with Loki.
Okay. Laura?
I haven't the faintest idea, but I'm going with Helgi because I don't know that one.
Okay. And Ashlyn?
I'm going to say Odin. I got no
All
idea.
right.
The Volva seem like a reasonable people.
Both Marissa and Ashlyn got it right.
Wow.
Yay!
Really?
Hooray!
I was sure it was not Odin. Huh.
No, Odin drinks the mead, and he goes to visit the vulva, and that's when he hangs himself in the tree, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah.
I read American Gods.
Bonus point if you know what the vulva is named after. This isn't a question on the quiz. I'll just give you an extra bonus. Nope. Spelled differently.
Worth a shot.
Yeah, totally.
How is it spelled?
Volva.
Well, I mean, if you're transliterating it into into our alphabet, yes. V-O.
Yes.
It's with an O.
I don't know how to spell it in any other language, Lauren.
Yes, it is with an O.
Okay.
I assume that was the letter in question.
Staff?
Yes.
Dwarves?
No. Yes,
Volcanoes?
Ashlyn. No. It's a cirrus. It's a human-ish woman. And Ashlyn is right. They're named after the staff. And do you know what the staff is made out of?
Nope.
I thought it was just wood.
It's a horse penis.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Vulva means horse penis. Nobody gets any points for that.
I'm just seeing that Palpatine meme. Ironic.
That's why I asked.
Rude that I don't get a point for knowing it was a staff.
Well, tough. Question 5, my final question, because it's going to be a long night if we all go 10. In the Ugandan myth, Kintu was the first person on Earth who wandered the plains of Uganda alone with only this animal for companionship and food. A sheep, B, a goat, C, a cow, or D, a giraffe? And we'll start back up with Jem.
I want to say goat because they're pretty versatile, but that also seems obvious. Giraffe seems like a really weird companion animal. I don't know, they're pretty cool, but it also seems like what somebody would just assume about Africa. It's not a zebra, I guess. People might assume that. I'm going to go with goat.
Goat.
I'm
All
not
right.
confident on this one.
Laura.
I'm going with cow because you said for food and companionship.
All right.
Are you saying
Ashlyn.
goats aren't companionable?
You've met goats.
Cow, zebra?
It goes sheep, goat, cow, giraffe.
Oh, giraffe. I don't know
Last
where
time I saw a goat, it tried to eat our youngest.
got zebra.
Oh,
Well, she probably deserved it.
Yeah,
got a
she
picture.
probably did.
And I'm going to say cow.
Okay. And Marissa.
In the words of my friend Jules, are you having a giraffe?
Well, your friend might be, but Kintu did not. It was cow.
Worth a shot.
Yay.
Yep. Kintu survives on milk and cow dung. I don't want to know how.
Oh my.
Before being judged, before being judged worthy of admission to the sky by the god Gagulu. I've heard of burning cow dung as fuel, so
Yes.
yeah.
And I
Totally.
mean, that's certainly one way to process otherwise insoluble fiber.
Yep. And hey, it's a creation myth. So our answers: Jem has 3 points out of 5, Laura has 2, Ashlyn has 3, and Marissa has 3. So this has
Yay.
decided nothing.
Yay.
Yay, it's the first quiz. Thank you all. I love creation myths. They're always a little weird, and they tell you so much about the people who came up with them and how they viewed the world. And I find them really fascinating. And I'm going to have plenty more quizzes about them in the future because, well, they're fun to make.
That's great.
Thank you,
All right.
Lauren.
Thank you.
Uganda? Cool! Where is that?
Africa!
Oh boy! Like Lion King!
2 by 2, and now it's time to go. Our paths have been revealed, so let's start the show.
Okay, up next we have Ashlyn's quiz.
Yay.
Oh shit, I actually have to do this one.
I've decided to horn in on Laura's territory and do a quiz all about fall foods.
Yay!
Ooh, awesome.
How many questions do you have?
I only have 5. Question 1. Which of these medieval spice blends are closest to what we would now recognize as pumpkin spice? Is it A, poudre fort, which means strong powder, poudre douce, which means soft powder, poudre rouge, which means red powder, or poudre courageuse, which means courageous powder?
Wow.
I'd like a poudre courageuse latte, please.
Let's start with Marissa.
I'm going to go with Courageous Powder just because that's the name of my new medieval ska band. So
Courageous powder. Lauren.
I had some problem with courageous powder back in the day.
Peruvian marching powder, the devil's dandruff.
I'm going to go with poudre douce.
Jem.
I'm going to go with poudre rouge.
And Laura.
I'm also going to go with poudre douce.
That is because you are correct. And so,
Yay!
Lauren. So I don't know what red powder or courageous powder are. I made them up. But poudre douce is quite similar to pumpkin spice. There's a lot more pepper in it, but it's also got like cinnamon and other things that you can throw in there. And it was kept around to put in sweet things mostly, and also delicious cookies, whatnot. Poudre fort is very similar, except that it's like 90% pepper and a little bit of other stuff.
That's what I assumed. I assumed that like poudre fort was going to be basically black pepper.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a leg up on that one,
Yeah.
seeing as we have poudre douce in the cupboard.
I can never remember which one is which without looking it up either, so maybe you could. Number 2. One of Jem's favorite things, cranberries.
Mm-hmm.
They are part of a large genus of shrubs. What other berries are in this same family? Is it lingonberry, blueberry, bilberry, or huckleberry? And let's start with Lauren.
Oh, crap. Let's go with lingonberry.
And Jem.
I believe lingonberry is correct.
Laura.
I also want to say lingonberry, although part of me is like, oh no, maybe it's actually bilberry. But part of me I know is I want to say lingonberry because it's used in a similar function as cranberry sauce, but I'm still going to go with it.
Okay. And Marissa.
I'm probably wrong, but I never thought I'd get to use this in context.
I'm your huckleberry.
Shockingly, all of you are correct. Because all of these things are in the same
nice!
They're all Vaccinium species.
Excellent.
So,
Did you just a quiz question with all right answers?
Yeah, I wanted.
You're too kind.
I didn't want to put all of the above because I knew all of you would be like, yeah, they're probably all the same. So, surprise, you all get a question right.
Yay! That was fun. I like that.
Well, and now I want to sing the Bilberry Baggins song by Leonard Nimoy.
Bilberry Baggins.
Greatest little hobbit of them all.
Yeah.
Bravest little hobbit of them all.
Question 3. What year did tofurkey first appear? Question for all of our vegetarians. Was it 2005, 1995, 1985, or 1965? Jem first.
Well, my guess was going to be in the 1970s, so very rudely, you did not provide that as an answer. So I'm going to go with
over it.
1985.
Juju and Laura's next.
To be honest, I have
1965.
No idea,
okay, Marissa.
Well, since it was my birthday a few days ago and I was born in 1985, I'm going with that one.
Okay, it's as good a reason as any.
Yeah.
Lauren.
I'm not going to do the spread because I know it wasn't the last one. I've never eaten tofurkey. Let's go 85.
Shockingly, to make up for the last question, you're all incorrect.
Yay!
Tofurkey was not introduced until 1995.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I forgot the 90s were on there. Damn it.
That's honestly interesting. I think I must be thinking of a different product or something then, because I was listening to, it was probably Gastropod. And I swear they talked about like it was much earlier than expected, but it might have been like a precursor product or something.
Yeah, interesting.
Because I am honestly surprised at that. I was certain that it was earlier than expected, not later. Okay.
I just looked this up today.
Tofurkey makes a completely fine vegetarian roast turkey stuffed product for the holidays.
Completely fine.
Yeah.
Like that's, for a long time, that was as good as you were going to get when you wanted a meat analog.
Well, and poultry is tough to do. And if you want something that fills
that's
the
why
place,
you have to baste it.
I knew you were going to do that, and I was trying to talk, and you just did it anyway. We're on different floors of the house, and he still can't help himself. Anyway, doesn't matter. You trampled on it. On we go.
Question 4. More numbers. There are at least how many known cultivars or varieties of apples?
Ooh.
2,500, 5,000, 7,500, or 10,000? Number 4, we are starting with Laura.
Oh. This is, again, see, I listen to a lot of Gastropod, and I like it, but I retain almost nothing from it.
Yeah, totally.
And I want to go back, but I don't have time to listen to all of them. But I just, so they did good shows on apples. I'm going to say 7,500.
Okay. Did you listen to the most recent episode of Gastropod?
Is that the aliens one?
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet.
It's
on my list.
They have Becky Chambers on to talk about how her awesome world building, and it's so good.
That's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that show.
Oh, it's the best. Marissa is up next. How many varieties of apples do you think there are?
I feel like the high number is too obvious. So I'll go with 5,000 because reasons.
Okay. I appreciate those reasons. Lauren, how many apples do you know about?
Infinity? Is there infinity apple?
No.
Infinite apples and infinite
I mean, you could
combinations.
choose to go for option E, but that's a bold choice.
Considering it's not on your sheet, that wouldn't be optimal.
Right.
Well,
About taking a stand.
yeah, I'm going to go where no one else would boldly go. I'm going to go for D. Was it 10,000?
Okay.
I know I'm wrong.
10,000
I don't.
apples.
Yeah. 10,000 maniacs, 10,000 apples.
Jem, do you want to take 2,500 just to complete the spread, or?
You said at least.
Yeah.
Oh,
before
no.
all of these. I feel like I should select 2,500 just to rules lawyer you into giving me a point, no matter what.
This is not Price is Right.
Unless the actual answer is like 1,000.
That would be very mean.
2,501 is not a possible choice.
Yeah, I'll take A.
A for apple.
Whatever. I think the answer was actually 7,500, but I don't care.
There are, in fact, at least 7,500 kinds of apples.
Yay!
But I took A.
Laura is kicking butt on this quiz.
This is my profession.
Yeah. I put it right directly in her wheelhouse. All right, here's a chemistry question for you to finish off my quiz.
Boo.
Beets are delicious.
Yes.
However, some people think they taste like dirt. There's a compound in beets called geosmin. It's a sesquiterpene, which I don't know what it means, but that's a great word. Sesquiterpene. Beets contain between 10 and 27 milligrams per kilogram of beet of this geosmin. So not a ton, but it's there. And it depends on what variety of beet you get, how much of this dirt flavor it has. So apparently chaga beets are very high, and Detroit dark red, which is the kinds that I grew in my garden, are very low. Anyway, here's some beet facts. What is the amount of geosmin a human nose can detect in, I believe, just in the air? I only have 3 options here. Is it 5 parts per million, 5 parts per billion, or 5 parts per trillion? This is the dirt compound that's in beets. How sensitive is a human nose to that smell? And we're going to start with Marissa.
I'll go with the million just because I feel like our noses kind of suck.
Okay.
So I'll go with the lowest number.
Lauren.
Yeah, I'll go with million.
Jim.
We're talking short count million, like American million, not European
Jim.
million.
Billion, no. Don't ask me these questions.
Good lord.
Okay, I mean, for million, everybody has the same million. I misspoke. It's billion.
Billion
Yes.
is the...
Yes.
I'm just joking. Obviously, you mean the American one. Everybody uses the American one now, except the French.
Answer the question, Jem.
Okay. Some old English people.
Jesus Christ!
You know, the kind of people
He was
who are
in my
sad
quiz.
the Queen is dead.
Oh.
Marissa makes a compelling point. The human sensory system is total hot garbage, complete trash.
We can smell that.
I mean, our noses suck, but have you seen our eyes? They are very bad.
Huh.
Let's say trillion anyway, just for fun.
Okay, that leaves Laura.
Is this stuff dangerous to us at high amounts?
I have no idea. I did not encounter that information.
That is a good question.
I'm going to go with billion.
Okay. It is, in fact, extremely detectable by the human nose. It can be detected up to 5 parts per trillion.
Wow.
Oh! Wow.
Between 10 and 27 milligrams per kilogram of beet. So that's like a lot.
Wow.
Anyway, I love beets is the point of this quiz.
Yay!
Jem got 1 point, Laura got 3 points, Marissa got 1 point, and Lauren got 2 points.
I got the default.
Well, we all have one quiz where we get zeros, so
Yeah.
it's okay. We average these out.
Okay, well, let's move on quickly to Laura.
All right. My quiz is all about clocks and timekeeping.
Nice.
Yeah, something totally different. I went outside my wheelhouse because...
Yeah, don't worry, there was still a food quiz.
Yeah, exactly. You had me covered there, Ashlyn. And I also couldn't think of things that I hadn't already talked about, so I went with something totally different. All right.
How many questions do you have?
I think it's 6.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, we'll figure it out.
All I'm doing is coloring in the other cells, so it's not a big deal.
Okay. Humans have been finding ways to track time for millennia at this point. And we've gone through a lot of different types of technology. So our very first types of timekeeping devices were monuments of some kinds that could track the movements of the sun or the seasons. Think of things like Stonehenge and other types of buildings and such around the world. Then over time, humans... And the reason that we had these big immovable things is because the idea of small periods of time wasn't really useful in a lot of people's day-to-day lives. And so they looked more at the seasons for growing or hunting or whatever it happened to be. But over time, humans decided that we wanted to be able to track time in smaller and smaller units. And as such, we had to develop different types of timekeeping. So very briefly, some of the first more specific timekeeping devices were things like sundials, where the shadow of the sun helps or indicates the time on a monument on the ground. And a very, very common type was the water clock. So the water clock, actually, there's lots of different accounts because, like many things, it actually developed in different places at similar times and then was also transported from one place to another, like the technology was taken. But we think that the earliest evidence of that was sometime around 5000 BCE, and they remained one of the most accurate timekeeping pieces for several thousand years. So this is actually just a bonus point. Though there is lots of evidence of water clocks being used in different civilizations around the world, where did the first water clock develop, like the earliest one that we have on record? And so you can just shout something, well, not shout something out. I'll go in order here. So we'll start with Marissa.
Oh, dear. I have no idea.
Guesses are fine.
Sumeria.
Okay. Lauren.
Egypt.
Okay. Jem.
India.
Okay. Ashlyn.
I also think Egypt.
Well, good. Excellent guesses. All of these places did have ancient water clocks, but it was China where we found the oldest
That was my original guess, and I changed it.
But like I said, we have ancient evidence of water clocks in all the civilizations that you mentioned. So excellent thinking, everybody. Okay, on to my real questions here. No bonus points yet. We talked about sundials. We talked about water clocks. The first mechanical clock, which was the precursor to the pendulum and spring clocks and so on and so forth, was developed in Europe and was a marvel of timekeeping technology. What was the primary driving force behind this invention? Was it A, industrialization, B, the variable flow rates of water, C, Catholic prayer times,
Dona eis requiem,
D, advances in engineering science? And we will start with Lauren this time.
Catholic prayer times.
Okay.
There was an R in the word. There's 2 R's in the word prayer, and I only pronounced one of them. So, Catholic prayer times.
Okay. Jem.
Yeah, I'm also going to say Catholic prayer times. Got to make it to Matins.
I was thinking of Matins too.
Ashlyn.
Catholic prayer times.
Okay. And Marissa.
I feel like if there's any people who are going to be rigid and paltry about this kind of shit, it's going to be the Catholics.
All right. You're all right, but you're all wrong.
But do we get the points?
Well, we can rules lawyer this, but let me go through things. So Catholic prayer times, the Catholics really liked to be on time for prayers. They liked to be precise about this. So this was very important in European society. The only clocks available at the time, or the most reliable clocks available at the time, were water clocks, which mainly developed in places where it's above freezing most of the time. And so when water clocks came to Europe, the water froze and didn't flow very well, and it was very hard to have accurate timekeeping for prayers and such. And so a new way to tell time was required so that in the middle of a frigid winter, people can still go to Mass.
Mm-hmm.
So that, from my readings, it was the fact that water clocks didn't work is one of the biggest reasons that the mechanical clock was developed and why it developed in Europe. But prayer times were one of the big reasons that people wanted that precision timing.
Did they work on boats?
Water clocks?
Yeah.
Doubt it. I think they would slosh all over the place.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because, I don't know, boats have been a big deal throughout history.
But isn't a boat a water clock?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they had other things for boats. I'm on a boat! I am not a timekeeping specialist after this quiz. I just thought it was an interesting topic, so don't ask me too many questions. What's that?
We asked Dave if he wanted to come on this show, and he has literally taken, timekeeping throughout history at Penzic, I think twice, because he liked the class so much. He would have aced this quiz.
Yeah.
Well, too bad for him. Okay.
Sorry, continue.
Next question.
So did we get the points?
I mean,
No,
I think you will. It wasn't the right answer that I put from my readings, but I think your reasoning was all very good. So, what year did the first mechanical clock emerge in Europe? A, 1078, B, 1412, C, 1283, D, 1357. And I started with Lauren last time, so Jem goes first.
I'm going to go with the 14th century. So 1312? Is that what you said?
1357.
1357. 1357.
Ashlyn.
That is also the year I was thinking.
Okay. Marissa.
1412 sounds good to me.
And Lauren.
1283.
All right. And Lauren gets the point on this one.
Yay!
But bonus point if anyone can tell me the country that it was located in.
Austria.
Ooh, I'm going to say France.
Spain.
Netherlands.
Ooh, good guesses. But it was in Dunstable Priory in Bedfordshire, England, of all places.
No way. They're not allowed to have a cool invention.
Yeah. Who did they steal it from? Tell us.
And this is, honestly, I tried to search this a lot to make sure this wasn't, European washing of technology. But no, it was really, this is truly a European thing. Other parts of the world were still using water clocks or other types of things. But Europe made the first mechanical clock, which then became the pendulum clock in a couple of hundred years after that. So clock building, including intricate clock towers, flourished throughout Europe during the 14th and 15th centuries. And these clocks often included parts that showed the movement of the sun and the moon, as well as biblical creatures as decorations. And some of these clock towers are still standing.
Very cool.
Awesome. Okay. Next question. The invention of the mechanical clock brought about many changes to European life, including this important change affecting day-to-day life. A. Reduced reliance on sunlight hours. B. Precise prayer times. C. Longer working hours in factories. D. Increased sophistication of military maneuvers. Jem started last time, so it's Ashlyn. Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to go with capitalism. Longer working hours.
Capitalism! All right, Marissa.
I'll diverge from the popular choice this time just because I've read battle diaries of people who didn't know what time it was, and I feel like the military really wanted to be on that shit.
Okay, Lauren.
All of the above?
You got to pick one.
I'll go military as well, because I already got screwed out of the Catholic prayer times. So this will be the Catholic prayer time one. Yeah.
No, that would be that. Ooh, yeah. I like your reasoning. Go ahead, Jem.
I think it is also military, although, like, once we get to handheld timepieces, that's really a killer app. But I think even carting around a grandpa clock is still gonna get you a lot of mileage. So I'm gonna say military.
Okay. Sorry, guys. No points on this one. So it was reduced reliance on the sunlight hours for guiding their day. So prior to this, people generally followed the sun's movements as a guide to their day, and daytime was divided into temporal hours, where the sunlight hours were divided into 12. So temporal hours could range from 32 to 82 minutes long, depending on the season.
Yeah.
The mechanical clock ushered in the equinoctial hour, which is 1/24th of a full day-night cycle.
What?
And so then their days and their movements and how long things took became much more standardized, which then allowed for precise prayer times, longer working hours, and eventually military sophistication. So some accounts from that time note that the bells from the clock towers of churches began to rule everyday life, kind of like an alarm clock. And so, yeah, that was a big change for people in the Middle Ages.
Very cool.
Next question. Hours of alternate length have been trialed by different societies over several millennia, including decimal time, where the day is divided into 10 hours of 100 minutes each, with 100 seconds in each minute. True or false? France officially adopted decimal time for 16 months in the late 18th century. And we're going to start with Marissa.
I feel like the French would be like, yeah, we're going to change from everybody else and just do something that nobody else is doing. Like, I feel like that's such a French thing.
So you're for true.
Sure.
Okay. Lauren.
It was part of the Napoleonic calendar stuff, wasn't it? So yeah, I say yes.
Okay. Jem.
Absolutely.
And Ashlyn.
I'm going to follow the pack and say yes, because I'm confused.
So were they.
Yep.
Yeah. Points for everybody.
Yay!
From
this is a wild time to read about.
This is brand new information to me. I had not heard of it, and I was just like, what the? So from 1793, late 1793 until mid 1795, France officially adopted decimal time. They had recently had a revolution and converted to metric time. And so they wanted everything to be metric. So decimal time makes a lot more sense if you want everything to be metric. But of course, them being the only country to do that, and Europe being relatively small and travel, it made it really difficult. And that was the one metric thing that just really didn't take off. And so in 1795, the government just kind of gave up on decimal time.
One of my favorite books growing up, and still, is The Count of Monte Cristo. And I didn't understand when they were saying these weird months I had never heard of. And that's what got me looking into the metric calendar and all that sort of stuff. And it was really cool.
I thought when you started talking about decimal time that I might have to admit that I briefly had my computer set to swatch internet time in the late 90s.
Jim Newman.
Oh, hon. I love you still. It's okay. We'll get through this.
I got a new, my work issued me a new laptop, and I'm not allowed to change it to 24-hour time.
What?
So afternoon, it goes back to 1, and it's messing me right up.
I'm sorry that you have to go through that, Lauren.
My diamond shoes are too tight, Laura.
I know. Boy, what a hardship.
a lot of my classmates are currently going through the transition because we're starting clerkship next week. So a bunch of them have transitioned their clocks to 24-hour time. And they're all just like whining about having to subtract 12 or add 12 and try to figure out what time it is. And I'm like, haha, I did this back in 2001.
I did it before it was cool.
Jackass.
Okay, 2 more questions. Timepieces first became portable and wearable around the turn of the 16th century and spread widely through Europe, thanks to the invention of spring-driven clockworks versus the pendulum-driven mechanical model. Which of the following was not a common feature of the first generations of these watches? So think like pocket watch type things. A bell to sound the hour. B, a calendar of months. C, jewels and embellishments. D, a minute hand. And is it Marissa? I think Marissa's first.
Minute hand sounds good to me.
Okay, Lauren.
I'll go with minute hand.
Okay, Jem.
Seeing as how I was extremely disappointed to discover that every watch I buy from here on out will need not only a minute but a second hand, and therefore I can't have a slow watch, I'm going to go with minute hand.
Okay, Ashlyn.
Okay, I agree with everyone else.
Okay. Well done, everybody. Points for all.
Yay!
And slow watches for all.
No, the timepieces were reasonably accurate for hours, but the spring mechanism was basically useless for smaller periods of time. So they just didn't bother doing minute hands because they wouldn't have been useful. And tracking things like calendar months or movement of the moon was still more important to society as well. Many of them did have bells in them and would chime just like a clock tower on the hour. And they were often jewelry pieces, so very stylish as well.
Just to be clear, when I say slow watch, I'm not saying your watch is slow. I'm talking about a specific type of watch that only has one hand.
Yes, I remember that, but it is not the case for that, per se.
I had one. Of course I did.
Apparently, I need to be able to figure out what somebody's heart rate is and respiratory rate is, and they want it per minute, not per hour, so... Just imagining being in the ER, like, oh, hold on, got 37 more minutes before I can give you my answer.
Yeah, I know. That exactly. Doctor, the patient's dead. Oh, well, not another one.
Oh.
On we go.
Okay, yeah, it looks like it was shock, you guys.
Okay, my final question.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wristwatches became popular in the 19th century. Who would you be most likely to see wearing one? A, a train conductor. B, a fashionable lady. C, an astronomer. D, a military general. And we're going to go with Lauren first.
A fashionable woman.
Okay. Jem.
For no particular reason I can articulate, I'm going to say an astronomer.
All right. Ashlyn.
I am torn between conductor and military guy. Train conductor.
Okay. And Marissa.
I feel like since train schedules were kind of why we got time zones, that would be a good answer for wristwatch as well.
You leave the Pennsylvania station about 3:45. Read a magazine and then you're in Baltimore.
Okay. I like a bit more of a spread on this one. But Lauren takes it. Wristwatches were quite popular, but they were primarily seen as jewelry, and they were far too feminine for men. Men would use pocket watches.
Oh.
However, at the end of the 19th century, military men started to adopt the trend of wristwatches during military events like the Boer War. Although their versions of wristwatches were significantly more crude than the timepieces that women wore. So basically, they would take their pocket watches and somehow just attach them to leather straps, and off they went. So it wasn't until the early 20th century that actual wristwatches for men were being produced.
Laura, are you trying to suggest that women can't be astronomers?
Jim? When she throws you out, you can't have our couch after that question.
Oh, boy. All right. That's my quiz. Thanks for taking it.
Excellent quiz.
Thanks for making it.
Jem, Ashlyn, and Marissa all got 2 questions right, and I got 4.
You did awesome. Well done.
Next up, we have our special guest, Marissa.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
But these are not multiple choice.
That's just fine.
Essay questions are fun. How many questions do you have? Sorry.
I have 7 with two of them are bonus questions related to one of these questions, and they're more fun than the first 5.
All right.
So, has anyone taken anthropology?
Yes.
Okay, so this might not be as hard as it would be because most people have not. I have a degree in anthropology, and I tried to make this some of the more basic anthropology questions, but once again, we generally don't get this in high school in America, so who knows? So welcome to Anthropology 101 with Dr. Rissy McCool. And I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. Question number 1. What is the term for a piece of text where an anthropologist writes up a report of living amongst an unfamiliar group of people or culture, participating in their customs and rituals as one of the group in which they're studying? Lauren?
Ooh. Shit, it's right there. Ethnography.
Jem?
I believe Lauren said ethnography, and that sounds good to me. Should we perhaps structure this such that the first person to shout it out gets the point, and you say whether it's right or wrong, and if it's wrong, we can keep trying. Kind of
that
Jeopardy
sounds
style?
good to me.
Okay.
All right. So yes, the answer is ethnography.
Okay. So Lauren gets the point.
Oh, I would have gotten it so much faster.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. One of the most famous ethnographies was an unpublished manuscript by Franz Boas about a First Nations tribe on Vancouver Island with whom he conducted 45 years of field work and research between the years of 1885 and 1930. Name that tribe.
Haida?
Mm-mm.
Iroquois. No,
Squamish.
That's the wrong region.
Oh.
This is Vancouver Island, Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
Coast Salish?
No, maybe it is. I don't know.
No.
I feel like I don't know.
We're so sorry, Indigenous listeners.
We're not from the West Coast.
I've heard, yeah, in like various land acknowledgements, and I got nothing left.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Everything I was going to try has already been yelled.
I only know this because I did my senior thesis on them. The correct answer is the Kwakiutl.
Ooh.
Yes.
Would not have guessed that.
They are a very fascinating group of people.
And where are their lands? I mean, Pacific Northwest, but...
Vancouver Island.
Okay. Just on the island?
As far as I know.
Okay.
So this one should be a little easier to at least get a few points. So there are 4 main areas of anthropology into which the field is generally divided. Can you name one or more of them?
Cultural anthropology.
1.
Linguistic.
Ooh, good.
That's the kind I know.
Jem, you got anything?
Nope.
Physical.
Yes. Or archaeological would also be acceptable.
Oh, okay.
That is 3. There's one more.
Yeah. Should we give Ashlyn 2 points for that? Because she shouted out 2.
There's one more that's a little more science-y, isn't the word, but a little more traditionally associated with science.
Forensic?
Close.
What was that, Ashlyn?
I said forensic, but it's often just considered a like subcategory of physical.
Biological?
You got it.
Oh.
Seriously?
Yes.
What?
Cool. They were just separating them.
Was that the one where they lick bones? That's just
No.
archaeology.
Archaeology, physical anthropology, they all have some part in the bones. Question number 4. In linguistic anthropology, one of the key terms that is the basis of the subfield is a process by which words or phrases from other languages become part of another culture's lexicon. For example, déjà vu is a French phrase that has become an English phrase in which there's a general understood cultural meaning. What is this process called?
And that just goes right out of my head.
That's not a calc, is it?
No.
Calc is something else.
Appropriation?
Well, it's like oral words, yeah.
It is a form of appropriation, yes.
Oh.
I don't know a term for it.
Oh, I feel like I've known this word, but I don't know.
It's completely out of my head. I've talked about this before. Oh my God. Yeah. It's okay. I got 2 points in the last question.
Final guess? Anybody?
Nope.
No.
The process is called linguistic diffusion.
Oh my God. I can never show my face on Twitter again.
Lauren, have you seen what's on Twitter? You're fine. Like,
I don't think you know how often I'm on Twitter, Laura.
I know.
Lauren, is that profile picture your face?
Me? Where?
Oh, you said you can never show your face. How often do you show your face on Twitter?
It is my face on Twitter. Wow. Yeah, that's me. That was from Christmas 2019 as we were driving to Dave's mother's house down the middle of Portage Avenue at night. That was me taking a picture in the back seat of the car.
Oh, good.
And I liked how the lighting
the
worked.
wrong profile picture.
Whoops. Oh, dear.
I think that's still my Twitter profile picture.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Me being all moody on Twitter. Yep. Okay.
Question number 5. Found in 1974, arguably the most famous fossil discovery from the Great Rift Valley in Ethiopia, was one of the human ancestor known as Lucy. Discovered by Donald Johanson and Tom Gray, they were able to exhume nearly 40% of a complete hominid skeleton. But why is she named Lucy?
Because of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
You are correct.
Yes.
Because when men discover things, what do? They get drunk. And when they got drunk and had it at a party, that was a certain song that was playing. Therefore, her name is Lucy.
Oh.
John Lennon ruined something again.
So, 2 bonus questions about the Kwakiutl. This will be fun. Franz Boas' study of the Kwakiutl detailed a ritual in which the tribe got together, each of them bringing something for everybody else, and where gifts were exchanged and marriages were proposed. What was this called?
Potlatch?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to say potlatch.
Yep.
That is correct.
Awesome.
And if anybody gets this one, I will be very impressed. The Kwakiutl at the time of Boas' study were a matrilineal society in which wealth must pass from father to daughter to husband. But like any society, there were loopholes. Of course, if they didn't have a daughter, there's a loophole there. But what if the chief did not have any children to whom to give to his inheritance?
Went to his sister's kids, or the chief's sister's kids.
No, it's much weirder than that.
Okay, because that one makes sense to me.
There would be some kind of a competition among like the strong female people in the community, and whoever kind of came out on top would then get it.
No.
That is weird.
Whoever put a conch shell on top of a rock.
Communism? Everybody got to pick something?
Oh, yeah. Like society would just like disperse for a little while.
It's like when your D&D party dies and you got to loot the body and split up the stuff.
Hi, KO'd.
I will give you a hint. If the chief only had a son, they would dress up half of one of his sons as a daughter. And then another person would marry that half of the quote-unquote daughter. And then the marriage would immediately be dissolved once the inheritance was passed through. So if they have no kids, what do you think happened?
They adopted a kid for 5 minutes.
No, the chief would
Is
dress
dead.
up. The chief would dress up his big toe.
Oh my god! That is
Big toe
wonderful.
marriage.
Wow.
And that's why I did my senior thesis on them.
That's creativity. Let's
Yes.
put it that way.
Because as an in-the-closet trans person, I can't imagine why this kind of thing might have appealed to me.
Yeah. It's funny the things that twig it, huh?
Mhm. So, thank
very
you for
cool.
indulging me.
That was
Thank
an
you.
excellent
That was
This is
quiz.
the best I've ever done.
Yeah, Ashlyn got 4 points. I got 3. And Laura got 1. And Jem, I'm sorry.
Yep.
But it's your turn now, Jem.
So,
Woo!
we're in the home stretch, folks. But
Are we?
buckle up. Question 1. A 55-year-old patient presents with sudden onset dry cough and shortness of breath accompanied by chest pain. On exam, you notice that their right leg is swollen and warm. When you do vitals, you note a heart rate of 160 beats per minute and a respiratory rate of 24 breaths per minute. You notice normal breath sounds on the right, but you can't hear much at all on their left side. Their oxygen saturation is at 85% on room air, and their temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. That's 98.6, Marissa. You take a quick history and find that they have a 20-pack year smoking history and that they just returned from a trip to New Zealand. You take a chest x-ray and it appears normal. Complete blood count is also normal. The only medication that they take is an oral contraceptive pill. What is the most likely diagnosis? Is it A, anaphylactic shock secondary to an encounter with a venomous animal? B, pulmonary embolism secondary to a deep vein thrombosis? C, septic pneumonia secondary to cellulitis? Or D, chronic venous insufficiency and pulmonary edema secondary to congestive heart failure? And for all of these questions, please feel free to ask for as much clarification as you like, ask for any other information you want about the case. And please remember that nothing I say in this segment, or indeed on this podcast ever, should be construed as medical advice.
Don't take medical advice from a podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to say chronic venous insufficiency and edema.
Okay. Laura.
Pulmonary embolism. So C? No, sorry, B.
B.
I misread that. B.
Ashlyn.
I also think pulmonary embolism.
Marissa.
I know some of these words.
I'll guess C, because lungs were brought up and pneumonia is related to the lungs, and there's my medical expertise.
Okay, so Laura and Ashlyn got it. That's probably a pulmonary embolism. Pneumonia would typically present with a productive cough, usually accompanied by fever and elevated white blood cells on CBC, and will usually show up on a chest x-ray. Chronic venous insufficiency typically presents with bilateral, not unilateral, swelling and discoloration of the legs, which doesn't really fit with this presentation, and pulmonary edema usually has a wet cough that is worst when lying down. It also should show up on x-ray if you're good at looking for the curly bee lines?
I was stuck on the smoking in New Zealand.
I will get there. Anaphylactic shock is a form of distributive shock caused by an allergic reaction. It often presents with urticaria, colloquially known as hives, swelling of the tongue, lips, and upper airway, and wheezing on auscultation of the lung, among other signs. Pulmonary embolism, on the other hand, often presents with sudden dyspnea, that's shortness of breath, chest pain, a dry cough, tachypnea, so fast breathing, tachycardia, fast heart rate, and either crackles or decreased breath sounds. Pulmonary embolism is often caused by a deep vein thrombosis of the leg. So basically, you get a clot in a deep vein in your leg, and then that clot gets dislodged and travels into your lungs. That's what a pulmonary embolism is. So a deep vein thrombosis of the leg presents with calf or thigh pain and swelling and is common in cancer patients and in those who have recently been immobilized, had surgery, or taken a long flight. These risks are compounded in smokers and in people with high levels of estrogen, especially exogenous estrogen, like from an oral contraceptive pill. So here we have Laura and Ashlyn with points. You had a question, Laura?
Yeah, so why is a 55-year-old taking an oral contraceptive pill?
PCOS?
Still, but I mean, at that age, it's going to be it's going to be a bit different because you're looking at menopause and that. And HRT, like hormone replacement therapy, is different than contraceptive. Anyway, so that was... I missed the age at first, and so I went with my guess, but then I'm like, wait, 55. Oh no, maybe he's trying to throw me. I just think that this person didn't get deprescribed like they should have.
It could also be an extremely late menopause. I mean, 55 is sort of the outside. I think 45 to 55 is the common range for onset of menopause. I could be mistaken, but it's definitely on the outside, but it's possible that somebody could be taking an OCP at that point. But to be honest with you, it was originally 45, and then I changed the age and forgot to adjust my stem. But good catch.
Are we just doing your homework for you, Jim?
Yes. Bonus point. What should you do about this pulmonary embolism?
Oh, shit.
Teach them yoga so they can kiss their ass goodbye?
Pray it away.
Is it like
blood thinners?
Blood thinners? Yeah, like what's that one they use on House all the time? Heparin.
Hey, I'll give Ashlyn the point.
Oh, hey, I said blood thinners.
You said, okay, well, I'll give it to Laura as well, but Ashlyn said heparin.
Okay.
Unfractionated heparin is a good choice for anticoagulation in a lot of patients. It will depend. There are lots of contraindications. But yeah, heparin, a blood thinner, is a good choice. Often, what else should you do for this patient emergently? Anyone else have any guesses?
Take her off of the damn contraceptives.
So supplemental oxygen right away, because an O2 saturation of, what did I say, 85%?
85 is low.
That is extremely bad. People with like compensated COPD might be able to get that low, I think. But for most people, especially suddenly, like that's an emergency. And also consider IV fluids and vasopressors if the patient is hemodynamically unstable. But yeah, we'll give Ashlyn and Laura that bonus point as well. So
how many of these questions did you say you had, Jim?
Just 5, plus the bonus points. So that's, what is that, 4 points for Ashlyn? 2 points for Ashlyn, 2 points for Laura so far?
Yep, okay. That's where we are.
We'll move on to question 2. 4 patients present to your clinic, all asking for antibiotics to treat their strep throat. Because you're a good antibiotic steward, and you don't want to give anyone diarrhea unnecessarily, you don't want to give someone antibiotics if they don't need them. Which of the following patients are most likely to have strep throat? A 16-year-old patient with a sore throat, a temperature of 39 degrees centigrade, that's 102.2 Marissa, with swollen cervical lymph nodes and a productive cough, that's A, 16-year-old. B, a 20-year-old patient with a sore throat, a temperature of 37.5, that's 99.5 Fahrenheit, with swollen tonsils and no cough. C, a 52-year-old patient with a sore throat, a temperature of 37.9 C, that's 100.2 Fahrenheit, with tonsillar exudate and a dry cough. Or D, a 13-year-old patient with a sore throat, a temperature of 38.5 C, that's 101.3, and swollen cervical lymph nodes and swollen tonsils with no cough. And we're going to start with Laura here.
Oh, good Lord.
So which of these 4 patients is most likely to actually have strep throat?
I think it's either B or D. No. Oh, God. Oh, no.
I'm glad
So
I did randomize this, but I definitely am glad I started with Laura, the person who had strep throat all the time.
I was just going to say I had strep throat so often as a kid. It happened all the time. But I was a kid. I don't remember. I know my throat was really sore. There's probably swollen tonsils. So what does that rule out here? I don't remember coughing, really.
Strep throat. No, some kind of virus. What's going around?
Asian flu?
Good one.
Okay, I'm going to go with D.
Okay. Ashlyn.
I also had strep throat as a kid, and I do not think there was coughing, and I think children are more likely to get it, so I'm also going with D.
Okay. Marissa.
That was going to be my guess, too.
Cool. Lauren.
Let's make it a straight flush. I mean, there's nothing straight that I can do. But yeah, everybody for D.
Sweet. You're all correct. The answer is a 13-year-old with a temperature of 38.5, swollen lymph nodes and tonsils, and no cough. The center score criteria were developed to aid clinicians in recognizing strep pharyngitis, or strep throat, a condition caused by an infection with group A streptococcus. Patients are considered more likely to have strep throat if they are between 3 and 14 years old, if their temperature is above 38 degrees C, that's 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, if they have swollen anterior cervical lymph nodes, and if they have either swollen tonsils or visible tonsillar exudate. That's like white pussy stuff on their tonsils.
I was going to say, which one has the white bits on their tonsils?
So
the 52, that was the one that...
Or tonsillar exudate.
That's where I got messed up, because tonsils, they weren't just sore. They were gross.
Mm-hmm. And patients are considered less likely to have strep throat if they are 45 or older, or if they have a cough. So, well reasoned, everybody. For the bonus point, what is the appropriate treatment for strep pharyngitis for most patients?
Penicillin.
Time?
Amoxicillin. That's what I always took. I don't know what it is anymore.
I will give it to Laura. Oral amoxicillin is usually what we choose now. You can often get away with penicillin, like a simple penicillin. Amoxicillin is also a beta-lactam. It's a penicillin-alike. There is some resistance, though, so usually you wouldn't go with simple penicillin. But Laura said both penicillin and amoxicillin, so we'll give her the bonus point there. Okay.
Banana medicine.
Yep.
Kill me if I have to take it again.
Question 3. A 23-year-old patient presents with a facial rash that's most prominent on their cheeks and the bridge of their nose, but spares their forehead and the area beneath their nose. They tell you that they've had it off and on for months, and it tends to come out worst after they've been in the sun. So at first they'd mistaken it for a sunburn. On physical exam, you note small red dots on their hands along the nail folds. On history, they mention that they've been having joint aches lately. It's probably arthritis, though, they tell you. My mom got that around my age. They also mention that this morning they noticed that their pee was darker than usual. You run some blood work and consult nephrology about the urine. Blood work comes back with elevated ANA and decreased C3 and C4. And the nephrologist on call tells you that your patient has developed a proliferative glomerulonephritis. What is the most likely diagnosis? A. Osteosarcoma with paraneoplastic syndrome. B. Scleroderma. C. Polymorphous light eruption, a form of sun allergy. Or D. Systemic lupus erythematosus.
It's never lupus.
And we're going to start with Ashlyn.
D.
Ashlyn goes with lupus. Marissa.
C. I feel like sun allergy is a thing that would be random enough for this to happen because I know fuck all about medical stuff.
Lauren.
It's never lupus. Scleroderma.
Okay, and Laura.
Lupus.
Go for the spread.
The only thing I understood from any of that was elevated ANA, and I know that means autoimmune disease.
So polymorphous light eruption is technically an autoimmune disease as well.
Ah.
I finally have a case of lupus.
Because this is indeed systemic lupus erythematosus.
That was a momentous house episode.
So, systemic lupus erythematosus, or SLE, or just lupus, is a chronic systemic autoimmune disease characterized by the production of autoantibodies against the nucleus of your own cells. So, ANA is anti-nuclear antibody. Although anti-double-stranded DNA antibodies are actually more specific for lupus, if I recall correctly, which I think I do.
All right, who got that right?
Yeah.
You and me, I think.
I didn't. I said scleroderma.
I've not done my spiel.
It's too long, Jen. Sorry. Go
ahead.
Like other autoimmune conditions, it is more common in those assigned female at birth for reasons that are not fully understood. The classic finding here is the malar rash, a butterfly-shaped facial rash that spares the nasolabial folds, alongside photosensitivity. The family history of a probable autoimmune disease with her mother's early onset arthritis is also suggestive, as is the capillary nail fold dilation, although that would also fit with dermatomyositis or scleroderma, which was one of the options. Arthritis in two or more joints is another lupus criterion, as is her kidney injury, either persistent elevated protein, which would suggest a non-proliferative glomerulonephritis, or red blood cell casts, which are diagnostic of a proliferative glomerulonephritis.
Jen, there's so many words here none of our listeners are going to understand.
Yeah.
That's why I have that drop.
I know some of these words.
There are 11 diagnostic criteria for lupus in all, along with some criteria that are merely suggestive, and you need at least 4 of them to make the diagnosis. Scleroderma is a condition that typically manifests with skin thickening, which might explain the capillary nail fold dilation, but basically nothing else. Polymorphous light eruption is another autoimmune skin condition that manifests with a rash after exposure to UV light, such as sunlight. It occurs most often in the neck and arms. Most often is raised and itchy or painful spots that appear red or pink on those with light skin and darker brown on those with darker skin colors. Osteosarcoma is a rare malignant bone tumor. Paraneoplastic syndrome refers to a variable set of signs and symptoms that occur in those with malignancies caused by chemical signaling, either by the tumor cells or by the body's immune response to the tumor. While paraneoplastic disease might explain a few of these symptoms, not very well, to be honest, it is uncommon both in bone cancers and in younger patients, like our patient. So, this is lupus, the disease of 1,000 faces. Bonus point. What's the appropriate treatment for lupus?
Oh, it's that medicine that everybody was taking during COVID. What's that called?
Antibodies?
It's the one before ivermectin came on. Damn it.
There's a few things that you can try and get them, like, the immune system to stop attacking you, but, like, is the answer there is no really good way to treat it?
There are actually fairly good treatments. There's no cure.
Steroids?
So I'm going to give that to you, Lauren. Steroids are often used. Laura was trying to come up with hydroxychloroquine.
Yes!
Yeah, I was thinking chloroquine. I couldn't remember the front of it.
Oh, my brain got stuck on indomethacin and could not get out of it. And it was just...
So hydroxychloroquine is recommended for all patients with lupus. And it is not a wonder drug, and it comes with its own package of side effects, but it greatly improves the symptoms. Other recommendations include photoprotection, so wearing sunscreen, hats, like that, regular exercise, and smoking cessation. Other treatments vary based on symptom severity, with mild disease responding fairly well to like NSAIDs, nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, or low-dose steroids like prednisone. Severe disease requires more intense immunosuppression, either with high-dose steroids or often modulator drugs, which are extremely expensive.
Very expensive.
So, good job, Ashlyn and Laura, and good job, Lauren, on the bonus point there. Question 4. A 21-year-old patient presents with a 6-week history of feeling sick. When you prompt them for more details, they report they've been really tired and have had trouble focusing. Also, their tummy hurts, and they feel a little nauseated. They've also had to go to the bathroom more than usual. They have normal vitals, with the exception of respiration rate, which is 28 breaths per minute. Though their blood pressure drops and their heart rate spikes when they stand up. You run blood gas and an electrolyte panel and get the following results. pH of 7.1, which is low. Partial pressure CO2, 20 millimoles per liter, which is low. Bicarbonate, 16, which is low. This is going to drive American doctors wild.
Crawl out of their skin, perhaps,
yeah.
even.
Having to parse these units that sound almost like their units, but not quite. Sodium is 140 millimoles per liter, which is normal. Potassium is 3, which is low. And chloride is 100, which is normal. So, what is the most likely diagnosis? Is it A, dehydration, B, diabetic ketoacidosis, C, opioid use, or D, sepsis? I'm going to start with Marissa.
Oh, dear. I wish I hadn't already used I know some of these words. A, why not? It's always dehydration somewhere.
And that's what I call high-quality H2O.
Dehydration. Okay. Lauren.
Ketoacidosis.
Laura.
Ketoacidosis.
Ashlyn.
Ketoacidosis.
The answer is indeed DKA. I'm sorry, Marissa. I didn't provide you with a blood glucose because that would have given the game away.
Yeah, I was looking at here. I was like, none of these numbers are sugar.
That would be one of the first things that you'd check in this situation. You'd grab an AccuCheck immediately, and you'd expect it to be extremely high. There are a few ways to tackle this. The clinical picture is fairly classic DKA or HHS, but I like to approach this as an acid-base problem, one of my favorite kinds of problems.
Oh, short version, Joe.
We have a low pH, which means acidosis, not alkalosis. And we have a low bicarbonate, which makes it a metabolic rather than a respiratory acidosis, and a concomitant low PCO2, which is compensatory. Among the options I gave, diabetic ketoacidosis is the only metabolic acidosis. Simple dehydration would result in a metabolic alkalosis, but I will note that the patient is hypovolemic. So dehydration, Marissa, is not a bad guess. Their blood pressure drops and their heart rate spikes when they stand up. A dehydrated patient, you'd probably also see that. Opioid use may result in central nervous system depression, which would depress the respiratory drive and cause respiratory acidosis. And sepsis results in hyperventilation and respiratory alkalosis. I'm happy to go into more detail, but I imagine everyone would rather move on.
You know why I picked ketoacidosis? Because it's fun to say.
Bonus point.
Yep.
What's the appropriate treatment for diabetic ketoacidosis?
Insulin.
Thank you.
So up until you started talking about their blood gas levels, I diagnosed pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds a whole lot like when I was pregnant.
Does anyone want to add anything to Laura's prescription of insulin for this patient? Probably not. It's extremely esoteric unless you're a medical practitioner.
If you're going to be a regular run-of-the-mill ER doctor, you're definitely going to recommend immediately go lose 100 pounds. Exercise until your feet fall off, and if you fail to not become diabetic, you will die.
Yeah.
Is that about how the counseling goes?
Yeah, pretty much. I actually had in this stem, I think I accidentally lost it, but I had that they had a recent 10-pound weight loss, I think. Did I have that in here?
No. Well, anyway.
Yeah. No, I originally had that in the stem. I must have lost it when I was revising it, but that's actually one of the recent weight loss is one of the most common things that happens when people newly diagnosed with.
Because your body can't use the food that it's getting.
Yep.
And between that and dehydration,
Yeah. So what you want is...
It's okay. I just said IV fluids.
Yeah. So what you'd want is insulin, IV fluids to correct their hypovolemia, and importantly, potassium to correct the hypokalemia that they currently have and prevent the worsening of their hypokalemia when you give them insulin. Because when you give somebody insulin, one of the first things that happens is all of their serum potassium drops because it all gets sequestered inside the cells, which can be very dangerous, especially for somebody like this person who has low K already. So Laura gets that bonus point. And last question. A 55-year-old patient presents with severe nausea following a sudden onset severe headache on the right side of their head. They describe it as the worst headache of their life, stating that it came on like a thunderclap when they were shoveling the walk this morning. They have vomited twice since and are still extremely nauseated. When you take a headache history, they report that they had migraines when they were younger, but nothing like this. They had a headache earlier in the week, but it wasn't nearly so bad, and they can't recall having any other headaches in the last several years. Their family history is remarkable for myocardial infarction in their father, now deceased, and lung cancer in both grandparents on their mother's side. Their 74-year-old mother recently underwent a pterional craniotomy to repair 2 MCA aneurysms. What is the most likely diagnosis? Is it A, cluster headache, B, brain tumor, C, subarachnoid hemorrhage, or D, migraine?
It's not a tumor.
We're going to start with Lauren.
The migraines have come back.
Okay, Lauren goes with migraine. Laura.
Subarachnoid hemorrhage.
Ashlyn.
I think migraine because thunderclap.
And Marissa.
Cluster. Why not?
Okay. I'm going to have to give this one to Laura. The thunderclap headache with onset during exertion or straining and accompanied by severe nausea is a classic presentation of subarachnoid hemorrhage. A brain tumor would typically have a more insidious onset and often be worst at night or in the morning, or simply when lying down. Migraines and cluster headaches don't really fit the clinical picture. You can make an argument for them. And you could also make an argument that given the headache history, like you would up migraine on the differential, even if it doesn't quite fit the clinical picture. But the thing that you are most worried about, the thing that you need to figure out immediately is this a subarachnoid hemorrhage? So bonus point.
I love that you didn't even put myocardial infarction on there as an option.
Bonus point. What do you do immediately for this patient?
Get the spiders out of their brain. That's the only way I know around.
Do they have any of that? You know when you have a leak in your radiator or whatever, and you put like some of that stuff in and it stops leaking? What do they have that's like that but for people? Otherwise, whatever imaging would tell you what's going on.
I do not know what to do with this.
I'm going to give this to Ashlyn because the thing that you would get is an immediate head CT to confirm the diagnosis. Okay. And if you can't get a head CT, you would seriously consider a lumbar puncture to look for blood, although you have to make sure that they don't have elevated intracranial pressure, because if you give them an LP and they have a mass effect going on, you're going to herniate them and they will probably die.
Seems our friend T-Bird won't be joining us this evening on account of a slight case of death.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Head CT, immediately followed by surgical repair of the aneurysm, or you could hypothetically do coiling too, but this is an emergency and needs to be addressed right away. Yeah. So Laura gets that question and Ashlyn gets that bonus. Do you have scores for us?
I do.
Or shall I do
No.
that?
So are you saying there's none of that stuff that you put in the radiator for people?
You know what? You would be surprised how much epoxy, like glue, gets used on human beings in the OR.
Okay, so
but does it get used in it?
If they do have an aneurysm, do you just is brain surgery the only option?
It's not the only option. And in fact, sometimes it's not an option. But did you say for an aneurysm or for a subarachnoid hemorrhage?
I don't actually know.
Sorry. So a subarachnoid hemorrhage is basically due to a ruptured aneurysm. So people who have aneurysms, like an aneurysm is like a sacral, it's basically like a...
Oh, okay. Aneurysm is before it breaks.
Yes. So often when you find an aneurysm, most of the time, an aneurysm in your brain, so in this case, in the middle cerebral artery, the MCA. That's where... I
was really hoping for one sentence here.
Okay.
Yeah, short version.
Basically, these aneurysms in the brain don't have symptoms usually until they rupture, at which point there's this sudden symptom. And that is an emergency and requires repair. Often aneurysms will be found incidentally on imaging because somebody will have a headache and they'll get like a head CT or an MRI or something, or they'll have some other symptom that makes somebody worried about their brain, and they'll find an aneurysm. Even though that aneurysm isn't causing their symptoms, they'll say, hey, we should consider going in to repair this because next time you're shoveling the walk or sitting on the toilet, you might have a subarachnoid hemorrhage, and then that'll be an emergency. So we'd rather do it when it's not an emergency. For that, usually, yes, it is a craniotomy. So they open up your skull, they open up the dura, they sort of unfold your brain, they get in there, and they will, for MCA, often they're literally taking the temporal lobe and the frontal lobe and kind of pulling them apart gently to get into that Sylvan fissure, and then they take a little metal clip and they just clip off the bulging part of the aneurysm and leave it in there, seal you back up. And because it's clipped off, it's not subject to this high pressure when you strain, and it's not going to rupture. You can also do coiling, where they will like basically go in through an IV catheter, or not an IV catheter, it's an arterial catheter usually. I think. I don't know. It's
Short version,
some kind of vascular catheter, should be an arterial catheter, and they'll basically send a little coil up in there. So you don't need surgery for that. That is not done as often right now. I don't know why. I suspect it is not as successful, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Or you can just, like, if it's not ruptured, you can just leave it and hope that it doesn't rupture. And in patients who are older, in patients who aren't good surgical candidates, or in patients who don't want to have their skull opened up, that's often what they'll do. So what are the scores, Lauren?
Okay. So I've actually just finished the math as you finished your explanation. So there was 33. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask who won this one before we get to the final scores?
Well, Laura is the med student I want. With 8 out of the 10 questions.
Wow. Sounds like somebody's been paying attention.
Yes. Sounds like somebody's been working in the medical field for a decade.
Yes. Ashlyn got 6. Ashlyn got 6.
Yeah,
I got 3, and Marissa got 1.
Yay.
I didn't shut out.
Yay! You're on the board.
So I had to do some fancy math because we all had different size quizzes. So there was 33 questions overall. Jem got to answer 23, Laura got to answer 27, Ashlyn and I got to answer 28 each, and Marissa got to answer 26. Jem got 6 right, Laura got 14 right, Ashlyn got 15 right, Marissa got 7 right, and I got 12 right. So we're going to do percentages. So Laura got 60%, Ashlyn got 65%, I got 52%, Marissa got 30%, and Jem got 26%.
I continue my streak of being terrible at quizzes.
And Ashlyn has won.
Well done, Ashlyn!
Congratulations, Ashlyn!
Woohoo!
That is literally the most unexpected result that I could possibly have imagined tonight.
She honestly
so lucky with both an anthropology quiz and a medical quiz.
They did say right before we started recording that they are going to lose. So,
well, you proved yourself wrong.
And I can share the score sheets with everybody else if they want to check my math, or we can just
it's fine.
Call it a good night.
Everything is made up and the points don't matter.
Exactly. Whose line is it anyway?
Just a reminder. Who was the former? This doesn't matter.
Awesome.
Okay, well, why don't we end our show with something nice?
All right.
Sure, I'll go first because the reason that I did not expect to win this quiz was because I unexpectedly got the bivalent booster today. Yay!
Woo!
She tripped on a needle.
I went to the pharmacy to check my blood pressure, actually, and I said, hey, my doctor wrote me a prescription for the bivalent because I don't think I'm technically eligible for it yet, but it's been literally a year since I had my last booster. And he was like, oh, I don't really care if you have a prescription. Do you want one? I have some. And I was like, yes!
Dave and I are going tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm pretty brain foggy right now. A friend stopped by to get some soup before our recording, and I could not tell her that I was making pizza. Just my sentences wouldn't come out. So did not expect to win today. Thank you all for this excellent experience.
That's awesome. Yeah, the bivalent, like my arm still hurts a bit, and I got it on Friday. So FYI.
Looking forward to tomorrow, but it's worth it. I've been so worried.
Yeah, awesome. I can go next because I actually have something nice.
Yay!
This time. My Concord grapevine, which I've been growing for the last, I believe, 4 years, is finally big enough and mature enough that it produced several bunches of grapes this year, and I was able to harvest them, and I was able to make approximately 1 1/3 cups of grape jelly from it.
You can cover some toast.
And Huxley loves grape jelly. So we harvested the grapes together, and this morning we had grape jelly on toast, and it is very tasty.
That's wonderful. That's so good.
Oh, mine is also about harvesting, so I'll just draft off the back of Laura's. Ashlyn spent the spring and summer making beautiful gardens, both in our yard and an allotment a couple of streets over that we were very lucky to get. And she harvested a whole bunch of the vegetables and everything. And then we had some folks over for some excellent soup, 2 different types, both borscht and a corn soup with corn from our own garden. And it was quite lovely, and it was a nice day. And we still have a lot of leftover soup. And now I have a whole bunch of tomatoes in the freezer that I need to turn into some sort of sauce.
It's so
Lovely.
good to take all my veggies and make them into food for people that I love.
And we sat in the backyard and fought off the really weird looking wasps. And
Look, Chris, it's a whole family of wasps.
My Margaret, what a subpar ham.
ate some good soup. And the
was a
Newman
lovely
children were
time.
lovely. That's it.
Marissa, do you have something nice?
Well, for part of my birthday, I went to Washington to spend 3 days with my partner, Ada. And when we were going to breakfast, it was at a restaurant/pie shop.
Oh,
And
God.
we ate breakfast, and as we were checking out, the waitress just casually asked, "So do you have any plans for the rest of the day?" And Ada said that, "Well, we're just celebrating Marissa's birthday here." And she looks at me and goes, "Would you like a piece of pie?" I was like, I swear, nobody believes me when I say this. I have never had pie before.
What?
What?
I swear. I eat like a 10-year-old because I have so many food allergies that I don't often try new things. I have never eaten pie. So she gives me several options. I explain that I'm autistic and have weird things with some food textures. And she picks one out after hearing everything that I said. I thought she was going to give me a slice of pie. No. Drops a full hunkin' big-ass pie right in a box and gives it to me.
Yes!
That's it. And I got free pie. It was amazing.
It was, what type of pie was it?
It had chocolate. That's all I know.
I take pie very seriously, so I'm so excited for you. You have no idea.
If you saw on my
In the photo I
Instagram the
saw,
picture of
possibly
it.
a chocolate silk?
What's that?
Possibly chocolate silk based on the photo I saw?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Moussey texture?
It was
Did it end
very
up being a good texture?
Yes.
Yes,
It was
I know
very
a
light.
lot about good textures and bad textures.
It was very light.
That's
Excellent.
lovely. Wow. A first pie experience. I
Yeah.
love pie so much. I'm very happy for you.
It's such
Thank
a good
you.
something nice.
My something nice is I spent a little while this evening as it was getting dark playing hide and seek with the kids outside.
Aw.
And it was just a very nice time. And
So lovely.
they eventually couldn't find me and went to get a flashlight.
Come out, wherever you are.
And I was hiding behind the air conditioning unit outside.
Look at all of our wholesome
Daddy, are you there?
somethings
I'm
nice.
scared.
Oh,
I
that's
said,
very
"Yeah, I'm here."
resourceful, though. They went and got flashlights.
Yep.
I might have suggested that
Oh, okay.
when they came inside looking for Daddy.
Aw. Look at us all being so wholesome.
What
Okay.
a good day.
The least wholesome part of the episode. What are we talking about next month, Ashlyn?
I would like to talk about Zodiac, all meanings.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Choose your own zodiac.
Choose your own Zodiac to talk about next month, and it's going to be a good time.
Right.
It's the only topic that we have in the topics channel that I have suggested and not done.
All right. Well, now's the time.
Okay, well, I hope to be on that episode, but I will not make any promises because I'm starting clerkship on Monday as this is being recorded, so I will have already done that by the time this episode airs. And my very first day, I'm on call for neurosurgery, so fun times.
So does that mean that you might be in surgery That first day?
I wouldn't be performing the surgery.
Oh, of course.
No, obviously.
Of course not.
But I have actually already been in the OR for 3 different neurosurgeries.
Oh, neat.
2 terional craniotomies. That's like a frontotemporal craniotomy. And those were for aneurysm repairs. And 1 posterior craniotomy, which was for excision of a large tumor. And it was really cool. Yeah. So what the funniest... I texted this to Laura. Extremely funny to be in the operating room watching 2 neurosurgeons like dig in somebody's skull, and one of them says to the other, that looks like brain.
Sorry.
In context, it made sense because they were actually like going through a tumor at that point. So they, I believe they were indicating that they had reached the far side, but very funny to see two people digging around in somebody's. Funny is probably an insensitive way to phrase it, but interesting nonetheless to hear looks like brain when they're in somebody's brain.
Very funny.
Good
All right,
episode, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me tonight, everybody.
Thank you. Quizzes are always fun.
Yeah.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Show notes and references for all of our episodes are available at lueepodcast.com, where you can also find links to donate or get in touch. If you'd like to support the show, the best way to do that is with a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you found us, or by sharing this episode with a friend.